So public deliberations is more about making a case to the government to change the way public participation is being done.
The public cannot understand technical, difficult budget processes. So this has been an argument advanced by sometimes government officials who say, why engage them, people don't understand. So we are doing public deliberation to show that maybe that argument is stretched again too far. You know, it is true some of those processes are fairly technical, but it is not entirely true that the public cannot participate in that process. With the right information, in the right quantity, people can be able to actually digest these processes.
Generally, the deliberations bit is to try and see whether there's a different way, a more effective way to engage the public in this new space that now is available in Kenya with decentralization, to get the public involved a bit more in budget discussions.
So we are going to divide ourselves into 4 groups. After you have discussed and just understanding the sector, we will come back here and we will debate how should we allocate money between infrastructure, ICT, and energy, and education. Today we are just going to be using an example of 100 shillings. You have 100 shillings, it is all the money available to government. It is all available for distribution. But you have 2 sectors. You have energy and you have education. How much will you give to each of these 2 sectors and why?
All the departments, there were allocations. But apparently, in regulation and development of construction industry, there was no allocation.
But you see,
and then the coming year, the following year,
there was 1 billion.
Allocation of 1 billion.
2016, 2017.
So that is
2017, 2018. Yeah, there was an allocation of 1 billion. So I was just trying to understand what informed the decision of the government to now give it $1 billion. That is where we are. That is the question I asked. If somebody understands, because for me, and I'm also trying to look at this very department in terms of is it the 4 pillars that the national government is currently talking about? That
The big 4.
The big 4. Housing is part of it. So if you're looking at it, it was 1 billion. Maybe in the next budget it's going to be even 20.
why?
I'm just saying.
And what is wrong if it is 20?
Everything else could be wrong, because if it is given 20 and other departments could be missing other key sectors.
You see, my thinking is this, I'm not justifying the allocations, but my interest basically is to target, because then there must be formulas of calculating why this has to be this way. And there must be also this. What are the needs? That probably puts that. Then the issue of the shilling. At what point do we have the shilling being strong? So to me, those are factors. And of course, okay, that is positive factors, but there could also be other factors.
Then why was it allocated the following year?
Yes.
The reason is, one of the things that the national has not done, or the national government has not done well, however much they have transferred functions, but they don't follow it.
Yes, probably.
Are you understanding?
The
They have transferred functions, but they've not transferred
The funds.
Resources.
Unaelewa?
Yes.
So probably the first round of allocation, the assumption was money itafuatilia. And that is why so many of these governors were like, we put affordable houses, which they never did. The national government have done very well in terms of purporting to have transferred what? Functions. But they've not transferred what? Resources. So me, my thinking is this. I have 2 school of thoughts. First, and this is a political thought anyway, the first 5 years people were putting up structures. That's very political. People were putting structures to be functional. And probably that is why they never did what? They never put money for that.
When you look at the State Department for Petroleum, then we have the State Department for Energy. Actually, these 2 sectors that are started duplicating themselves. Because when you look at this one, exploration and distribution of oil and gases, then you look at the other one up there, general administration, planning and support services, given 1 billion. Exploration of oil and gases given 5 billion. Could these two things be merged into one? That's an all-encompass. Power generation is there. That is exploration. If we use wind energy, other sources of energy. So at least maybe they will give us details on this, but I have a bit of duplication across these two.
We have two functions in education sector that are devolved. We have the ECD and the Youth Polytechnic. Has the county government done enough to improve these two devolved programs of education? The little that the county government is getting, are they doing enough with that small they are getting to improve? I'm talking about experience in this because I see the situation of my ECD school back at home.
Public deliberation borrows from a very simple theory in political science, which is basically that you govern by discussions. Governance by discussion is basically to say, for everything that we'll do as a country, we will talk about it. Then we'll agree on the best approach. It will not mean that everyone will get what they want every time, but at least there will be an agreed approach because everyone will listen to the justification from the other person and then we'll find a way forward that is agreeable to all of us.
People given time and the right kind of information can actually contribute to a discussion. And they don't need to know the granular details. They don't need to know every last detail of things. I mean, we had the sectors that we were having debates around this time, education and infrastructure, and whether to invest more in capital development or in human development. People had ideas, and they were all speaking from the context that they were working from.
Now I'm no longer listening to reasons. As I said, the reason why it's good to give reasons is because you're trying to convince the person next to you. All right? You're trying to convince the person next to you that actually, my friend, if we actually put more money into education, is a good thing. And this is the reason why. That's why I said there's no reason that is wrong. But it's just that we have to make a decision about one priority, which is basically saying one thing this time will be more important than the other one, money-wise.
All the infrastructure activities in Kenya, like the Thika Super Highway, we are borrowing all those contracts from China. If we could have educated people in Kenya, we could have done that work. So what generally means is that the net profit from that work is going to China instead of coming to our country. Or to Kenyatta National Hospital. We are having those machines for treating our citizens. We don't have those experts. The machines are there. Nobody is able to work on them because we are not having the tools. And those tools which are required is that knowledge, that education. So as the DB says that mambo mwanzo wa kila kitu ni knowledge. Then from knowledge,
if I can remember, since time we was, they've been educating people. I mean, how many people have degrees? How many people have PhDs? But they're monopolies. But they are outside their family. This raises a lot of concerns as to why, as a country, we are hiring experts from outside. Why? Because we are not fast in embracing our own. That is what we are not doing. We are investing on an education system that is currently not helping us. Why do we have a large group of people coming out of school and they don't want to have employment? Two, they don't have a source of income that you can say that this one is what I went to school to do.
Yeah. One, we've talked so well. We've talked of what you are supposed to do. But now, the situation is, the system that is producing people who don't have a C+ in mathematics is the same. You want us to put all our money in there. So, for now, there's no point in this whatever is so whereby we change our tactics in approaching education. It's the same system that is producing half-baked that we want us to put all our money there. I want to bring you back a little bit. Garissa Road was built by NYS sometimes back. NYS guys are trained for 6 months. And they built that road, and it's one of the best roads in the country. So we don't need to put 70% in education so that we produce great minds. We just need to be organized.
Kama sahizi hapa for example, si kila mtu wako na kazi hapa. Ni watu wachache wako na kazi. Elimu hatuna. Na wengi wako na elimu. Na wengi wako na elimu. So mimi ningependa watu watengenezewe kazi kwanza, tutengeneze kwanza kazi, tutengeneze industries, tufanye nini, alafu tuandike, ndio imotivate hata wale wengine wenye wanasoma kusoma zaidi. Ndio tufungue area yetu kama barabara, tu connect na Sudan, kwa sababu si kila mtu amesoma. Kuna wale watu ambao wanafanya biashara. Bila hiyo biashara, huyo mtu kwake haitakula. Bila hiyo biashara ama bila barabara nzuri, sisi hatutapata mboga hapa. So ni heri tutengeneze kazi kwanza ndio turudi kwa elimu.
Hii job unapata job without a qualification. And that qualification inatokana na masomo. Then ile majobu unaongea ni ile ya kupiga bush, ile hii makasho ndio unaongea. Si ile jobs ya maana ambaye masomo inaweza leta.
Yes. So make sure you are guiding us that way. Because ukienda msituni hata sitaenda msituni. I might take us to the student to look at the door. I want to look at education in this aspect. Education leads to research. With education, there is also service delivery. That is, salaries will be given. There is administration and operations. And we are looking at how much, what proportion should be given into research, salaries, administration and operations. And then we are looking at energy, infrastructure, and ICT, which supports all of this. I'm looking at, when I look at infrastructure and energy, I'm looking at roads, I'm looking at buildings, I'm looking at power, I'm looking at everything that supports the people who will be taking what? Part in the research. So I will say if I was to give 70, then I will be taking 70 to energy and infrastructure. That is where my argument is. Because we are looking at how supportive. We need, yes, we do need, education needs an allocation. According to me, the allocation that they need is will be consumed, and it's on salaries and it's on research. And it's on administration and operations. But then again, when we're looking at roads, how much of it do we have? We need to access either the health facilities, we need to access educational centers, we also need to have more buildings, we also need to build more ICT, we also need to have more power supplied into these areas.
We are trying to prioritize. We are looking at Turkana County now, not the entire Kenya. Tunajaribu kuangalia Turkana County na kusema ni nini tunaweza achana nayo ndio tuweze kuendelea mbele. One, to us, education will continue. Sijui kama tutaai kusema tumemalizana na mambo ya elimu alafu tuende mambo mengine. Education lazima itaendelea. Itapita hata infrastructure some years to come. So that is why watu wa infrastructure walikuwa wanasema utupie kwanza hii tumalizane na hii communications na barabara, kwa sababu ni lazima tutahitaji elimu, hata mpaka watoto wetu watahitaji mengi kutoka kwa elimu. Tutahitaji bado mabadiliko kwa elimu. So ndio maana watu sisi tukasema tunahitaji hizi. Wakati tunaangalia capacity building, ama development, hatuangalii tu peke yake. We want to look at engineer, tunatafuta na engineer ama professor ama ule mwingine doctor. Tunataka pia kuona kwamba kuna wale labda hawajapata elimu na hawataifikia labda ile elimu, lakini kupitia ile skills ya kawaida na mwananchi wa kawaida anaweza kuelimika. Na hiyo inatupisha kwa ile concept Jeshi alikuwa anasema unipee barabara niweze kufanya biashara, kufungua hoteli, kufanya nini? Kulisha watoto. Unajua wakati anapata hiyo kidogo kupitia kwenye barabara ni kawaida atapeleka yule mtoto shuleni. Lakini kama shule peke yake leo hii tukona kaunti kuna sehemu ukienda long term hakuna Gabriel hajaika hata academy moja. Na hata tamani kuweka hata basi kwa hiyo barabara kwa hiyo njia. Why is because anaona basi yake nikiweka hapa haitafika, hakuna watoto wataenda ile academy yake, unaona. So ndio maana tukasema community wote na hivi vitu ndio Gabriel aweze kufikisha hii shule huko, Gabriel aweze kuweka shule hospitali huko, Gabriel aweze kufikia ule mwananchi anahitaji chumvi huko. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa argument. Otherwise elimu hata tukuje kwetu
maybe example ya kwanza ni standard gauge radio. Expertise walitoka hapo. Tuko nao wala wanatengeneza standard gauge hiyo kweli. Tulichukua kutoka ile tena. So lazima to develop our expertise. Because tuna support allocation mingi kwa education. So nchi inaendelea kama wako human resource. Wako na uwezo human resource ya kutosha. Kama za kujenga reli, kama za kujenga bridges, kama za kufanya research. Barabara once ikitekelezwa inatosha. Stima kuna investors watafanya hiyo, lakini kwa education hakuna investor anakuja kuweka pesa yake hapo. Government ndio inafanya hiyo pesa yake. Ielimishe wananchi. Na ndiposa unasikia kaunti inaendelea kwa sababu wananchi wao wamesoma. Sekta zote wamekuwa well trained, be it engineers, mechanical, what everything, all sectors. Lakini hatuwezi kuimport expertise kwa sababu tunataka kujenga barabara, tunataka kujenga hiyo ICT inataka expertise. Unaona? Si afadhali tusilipe watu wetu expertise wetu, tuwapeleke kuwaelimishe vizuri, wakuje watufanyie kazi. Unaona? Kuliko sisi tuchukue expertise kutoka nje, tuwalipe pesa mingi. Na waende nao tena. Unaona? So we need to balance that.
You see, education is the informant to infrastructure. Because if you don't have any qualified personnel, you cannot meet your infrastructure threshold. Because infrastructure fetches a lot of money in the case of Kenya now, because we only import experts. And in a nutshell, we end up having no people in such a fields just because we lack to give enough money and expose rare causes.
So that, I mean, for instance, in Turkana, the debate was very heated, you know, about infrastructure, because both are at a very fairly poor level, you know, and the difficulty was real. You know, which one do we focus on? Do we focus on infrastructure? We have discovered oil, and therefore we need infrastructure, but we also need education. You know, who are the engineers who will get employed? So it was a very difficult, but that first lesson, that people given the right kind of information can actually contribute and participate in a debate. I think that was fast.
I need to create some new groups. I want to shake things up a little bit so that we are all in different places from where we were before. Instead of us coming back and discussing together, what we will do is that within our groups, we will come up with an allocation for our sectors, those 2 sectors, and we will give 3 reasons as to why we've allocated based on whatever criteria we take. The 2 sectors you have, social protection, culture, recreation, and the second one is governance, justice, law and order. So in your files you have those 2 sectors as well. Look at them. Remember to keep looking at the factors. Remember to look at performance and information like that so that it can give you something to work with.
Last year, there was shortage of maize flour in our country, and the country had to export unga. This is because there was they were talking about a shortage of rains, and also we are expecting drought this year. So already some parts of the country have experienced this hunger, like areas of Baringo. I think you have seen in the newspapers and all this. So there is a need to put more money on social programs to feed the people before we waiting for the long rains and planting season.
When we speak about increasing a percentage of this sector, we know where we are getting our reasons from. Like now, we justify that part of this, one of the reasons is that we have had challenges in the improvement of this because of the little allocation. So by increasing this allocation, we will be able maybe to establish something like the children's homes, maybe. Instead of having children all over in these streets, we can have them taken somewhere, maybe where maybe the government will begin getting to know who are their parents, whether they are able or not, so that they are held responsible for the reasons as to why children go to the streets. And then we go to those maybe people with disabilities. What is it that they can do? Maybe they have they can maybe do some education, attend some education programs, but because they are not here, they are not able. Those are maybe people with disabilities. And then is it possible that we initiate this to support them so that can increase the percentage of the allocation? But of course, we agreed earlier that it will not go to, it will not go beyond the governance, justice, law and order sector. It will still remain behind, and the other one remains up a bit.
This is to bring to attention that we have to find a budget control of the two. And the budget control comes as a result of the 100% we require per the laid programs. The question now begins, what could be our percentage in social protection, culture and recreation? This we require to find a percentage that we are going to apply or put in social protection, culture and recreation.
Why can this 203 billion be reduced to become, other than 81%, to become 75%? And then the other to increase up to 25%.
You must outweigh the two of them. You know, the security in governance and justice, law and order, that's a very big topic. But I think also to be emphasized on our culture, let's go there to fight for our culture. And if we didn't lose our culture, we wouldn't be having all these problems. You see, we will support that.
For social protection, could involve gender.
Obviously, no one who is not affected.
Yeah, promote equality agenda, how to respect children's rights. Obviously, justice is real. So I think social protection should have the largest.
So in 70. 70. Then we need to ensure that we retain our culture. No, cultural activities and also recreation activities. It will be more better than the present.
Each group had its own discussion, came up with their own agreement, and their own 3 reasons as to why that agreement was what was the best according to their discussion. So number one, I hope all groups did that, or at least got to some good level. Number two, each representative from each group will come and present to us their division, how they shared the money between the two sectors, and their 3 reasons.
Reason number 1, when we increase that on social protection, we are likely to decrease the crime rates. And once we decrease the crime rates, the proportion we had taken from governance will be taken because crime itakuwa kidogo, kwa hivyo polisi will not need those equipments and whatever. Reason number 2, we need to focus on the less fortunate in our society, the street children, the people with disabilities. We need to bring them level with the common person. Reason number 3, there's this thing called dependency levels.
Creation, we have allocated 60. And for governance, justice, law and order, we have allocated 40. First reason that we have given is that by giving more to social protection, culture and recreation, we give it an opportunity for increased employment. The reason 2 that we have given is on culture. That culture, by investing or putting more in social protection, culture and recreation, is that we shall be boosting the economy. The third reason that we have given is that if you look at the MDAs that are there for the social protection and social protection, culture and recreation, it involves Uwezo Fund, it involves Women Fund, it involves Fund for the Disability, National Disaster Management, and we know these are things that come along with us. The allocation that was given was just 45 billion. And when you look at for the governance, justice and law, it was allocated too much, yet most of its work is being duplicated.
So under social protection, culture and recreation, we gave 25%. Governance, justice, law and order, 75%. One of the reasons is security being a major player in a stabilized country. Number 2, we should make funds available to strengthen sagas like East Ethics Anti-Corruption Commission. Then reason 3, funds are also supposed to be made available for facilitation of international relations.
Tulipeana governance 61%. Na social protection 39%. Tulisema hii pesa, we looked at the previous budget ya mwaka jana, tukakuta pesa ingine ilikuwa kwa IBC about 11%. Tukaweka wapi? Reason ya kwanza hapa, more funds will be available to deploy security agents, especially where more vulnerable Karani. Because of good governance, that is true. The rate of corruption and fraud will be reduced. By increasing allocation number 3, the marginalized and persons with disabilities will be empowered economically.
For SPCR, 40%. For answers on the GJLO is, the GJLO has a lot of sectors, or MDS, which it needs much attention for a country to have a just that means good governance. The absorption rate, you find that the GJLO absorption rate is 92% as compared to SPCR, which has less MDS, but the scope is that absorption scope is 89%. You find GJLO has a lot. It has about 14 MDS, I don't know, 20 sub the others, as compared to the other one, which has only, I don't know, 9.
Ilipeana 60 kwa governance, justice, law and order. Alafu 40% ilipeana kwa protection, culture and recreation. Many departments that are sensitive on digital issues that help to maintain law and order. Reason 2, JLO help in mainstream justice. 60% is a proportionate to the MDs of JLO, similar to a social protection. Many departments will be vulnerable. When more allocations is made social protection, the allocation will be worst due to a few MDs.
Emerging challenges like the disaster, drought, and famine that we have, and nowadays even with the long rains, farmers cannot plan adequately for the planting season, so that anytime famine can strike, so these departments need more allocation so that they can be able to address such kind of challenges as they arise. Secondly, the second reason why we have given this sector the huge allocation is the high cost of living. Remember, there was a cash transfer for the person with disability and for the elderly. I think they were being given 2,000 shillings per month, and with the high cost of living, seriously, that one cannot be enough. So the allocation that is being channeled to them should also go up, yes. There are some departments in the governance, justice, and law and order that they have outlived their usefulness. Because like the ethics and anti-corruption, surely, they are not doing much. They're just doing a lot of talking, but no actions. And yet again, the allocation is being given to them. The protection of human rights and promotion of human rights, again, they're being given allocation, nothing much from them. Yes, betting and control board, nothing much from them. Promotion of gender equality and freedom. Honestly, that one again, just taking money, nothing.
For social protection, we give it 30%. And for governance, justice, law and order, we give it 70%. The GLO sector consists of 14 MDS, 20 semi-autonomous government agencies, and 15 tribunals that require a huge chunk of money for operation. So we give it that 70%. While the other sector, that is social protection, culture, and recreation, has got only 6 departments, 6 MDAs and 20 SAGS. For governance, justice, and law, there were key priority issues that require funding. We noted quite a big number of emerging issues in governance, justice, law, and order that require immediate or rather adequate funding.
Social protection, culture, and recreation, 35%, and governance, justice, law, and order, 65%. We were, in our assessment of the discussion, we realized that with the strength and good governance, prevailing justice within law and order, certain aspect of social protection and culture and recreation become self-initiate for positive human development.
Okay.
Reason number 2, you realize, like for example, if you look at certain departments within
social protection.
Look, certain departments of social protection are duplication of what is happening in GJLO. The allocations are low on certain departments of governance, GJLO, and there's more reason for those commissions to adequately, because they could be underperformed because of inadequate funding. So for them to realize their mandates, and because, for example, if it is a commission that is supposed to come to the ground, talk to the people, and there is no funding enough to do that, they'll sit and wait if there is any money to be put to them. So those things lie just like that. So more funding needs to be given to them.
Kuko na ile difference ya allocations in different sectors. Yes, among the 10 sectors now, I have realized that there's difference in allocation by the government, depending on their performance.
To give priorities in their budgeting, so that they can know which areas are very much key, which they can budget first, and then others they can be of importance, but they might not be of priority, and there are other emerging issues that can come up in the middle of their budgets, and they need to reallocate their budgets to fit that. Also, they need to follow up on their budgeting so that they know how they can monitor these funds to know whether they have implemented the projects or not.
About the factors to consider when making a budget, when planning for a budget, like the issues, the 8 issues that we discussed in the morning, which are key in making a budget. And then I also learned some of the challenges the sectors face when the budget has been passed in the parliament. There are issues that come after the budget has been passed, like the ones we are calling the emerging issues.
The input of the citizens is very key to the various allocations. And I also know that I know that the people feel that their input is never taken seriously, since the budget making process as by the name suggests that it is a process. So not all of them that participate from the beginning to the end of the process. So at some point they get lost, and that is where implementations are done in their absence, allocations are done without their knowledge, and not everything goes right.